Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video of mine. It is the end of the year 2019 and the end of a whole decade. From 2010 to 2020. 2020. It is right around the corner, and before this year closes, I want to thank people who have been an influence of my life, of this year, and a whole decade. Now, I've already closed out the chapter in my own life with me turning 25, and you can check out that video afterwards. But this time, I always like to look at the other people who have helped me change this past year, who have just made me happy, because this time is important to me and just special, and just to honor those people, or just to say why I like them so much, and just thank you for just being a friend, or just being there when I just would have never have experienced change or happiness. It's just such a great thing, and I just like to take this time to see who has been that motivating factor in my life. And so here we go with my influences of 2019. Now, the first influence of my year obviously has to be the Try Guys. They have undergone a whole change of their own with starting their own channel. They've written a book, they've done a tour, they've just done it all. And I've always said once they separated from BuzzFeed and do their own thing and create their own content, that I would subscribe to them and be confident that they would succeed. And they did just that, and I was so happy that they did. And so if you have not checked out my earlier video this year where I went to their live show, that you should check out, because it was so great, it was so wonderful, and it was one of the last times that I got to spend with my cousin, so I was just so happy to have that chance and experience that with her before she had to leave. And so the Try Guys are such good guys. They have been such influential in this year, especially with Eugene and his story. They have all shared their stories in their book, and I've just been enjoying everything that they do. With their tour, it was just such an amazing thing to watch. It was very emotional, it was very happy, sad, and just to the heart. And I like each one of them. They each have their own spin on things. They make me laugh. They're just such great guys, and I just wish the best for them. And they have just been such a huge factor within this year, especially just listening to them, what they have to say. They're so motivational, and they want to do bigger and better things. And that's just something that I can just get behind, because I know that they can do just more heartfelt, just grander things. And even with their shows that they're doing, I really trust that they have a good vision for where they want to go. And I'm excited to see what they do and what happens in their future. And so I'm just thankful to the Try Guys for just being a really great factor in my year, and just entertainment. They're just such high quality entertainment, and I just really enjoy them very much. Now, one big show that definitely has been an influence in my year is Shira and the Princesses of Power. Now, if you checked out my ASIN vlog that I did earlier this year, I did cosplay for the very first time, and that was just so wonderful. And I wanted to cosplay something for so long, or go to an event. And so when I saw that Shira and Princess of Power had a meetup with other fans, I was so happy. It was the first time that I've really gotten to be with the fandom and sharing an experience like that, and it was just so fun. And this show is so important to me. It's just gotten so big, and it's just beautiful. I like the storytelling with how much it's evolved. And I like how different it is from the original one. Because I remember watching reruns of the original one when it would be on late night TV, and I would stay up way past my bedtime. But Shira and the Princess of the Power is about the world of Etheria and how Shira is this warrior type, kind of godlike person. But Adora is this person who was on the side of evil, who had to reinvent herself to be on the side of good because she realized that what they were doing was wrong. And seeing how Adora develops in becoming Shira and how everybody is influenced by that action, and it's just such an intricate storytelling, and I've just gotten so involved with it, and how it's just such a great thing to talk about friendship, about forgiveness, a little bit about abuse and how to move on from that, and how you have to separate from friends even though you love them very much, that they might not be the best person to hang around. And the show is really progressive. It has so many characters that I have never really seen before in a TV show, let alone a cartoon or animation. And I really love the animation. The things are so beautiful. And even though it's so different from the original material, I just love that you can nod hints at the old work and yet still be so unique in the new work. And Noelle Stevenson has done a great job with developing the story. And unfortunately, this show will probably come to a close in the next season with season 5 because there's only a certain amount of episodes that are left. And I'm going to be so sad when it does end because this has just been such a factor in my life. I've written poems about this show, I have done edits for this show, and it's just something that has made me happy and it's my comfort. And even though it will come to a close at the very end, this is something that I will look back on as a happy memory, and even something that I probably will show my future children and say, this is what I watched, this is something that is great, and hopefully that it will impact you later on in the future. And so Shira and the Princess of Power has just been such influence of my whole year. I have merch now, I have pillows, I have art, stuff like that. I don't take lightly because I love looking at art. And just seeing that stuff in my house, in my things, in my materials that I have now, says a whole lot to me that this is something that is important. And I love the characters. And I just love the show. And so, what more can I say? It's just been such a happy thing for me this year, and I'm glad to have found it at the end of this decade. And speaking of getting into fandoms, one thing that has helped get me deeper into fandoms and do a whole lot more is the app Amino. Amino is these communities that you can have of people who enjoy the things that you like, or you want to come together for a certain purpose or a cause, because there's a whole different range of aminos. It is so crazy. Some are big, some are small, and I've kind of gotten to a whole lot of different ones, from the fandom with Dan and Phil to Thomas Sanders and the different fanders, and then Kick the PJ, all these different types of aminos and fandoms that I'm a part of and that I like. Now I have a central place for people who like the same things that I like, especially Shira and the Princesses of Power. Amino is just the place that I've been going to because there are different challenges that people want you to create stuff and then you win coins. But a lot of this has just been motivating me to do stuff that I've already wanted to do. Because with Shira and the Princess of Power, I've done the poems, I've done edits, and all of that was because of a prompt called Shira Month on the Shira Amino. And I did poems for a whole month, so now I have more experience writing poems. And I have more experience editing because of the different stuff and the different fandoms that I've just become a part of. And they just sunk me down deeper into the fandom. And so even though Amino is just an app, all these different communities I've become a part of are such an influence in my whole year, because they motivate me to do better, they make me write more, they make me create more of the things that I just enjoy. And because I have not had this spark in a long time, I've just enjoyed it. I would not have had as much fun or done a lot more for this year if it had not been for these challenges and these creative outlets like these fandoms have been. And so Amino has just been so great for me. I even now have an archive of our own account, the same handle, TheGraceOfEbonee. And so I've written a lot more stories, and so I'm going to compile all of my fandom stories there. I still have my Wattpad, which I'm going to probably do a lot more original stories for. But even then, I've just been writing, and it's just been so exciting. I wrote one recently for somebody for Christmas as a Secret Santa or gift exchange. And all of that has been fun. And I've written another one for a different fandom, which I'll tell you about in a minute. And all of that has just been so fun. I've just been so creative this year. And I'm just so happy that I found Amino and the different communities. It's just been such a great influence in my whole entire year. And one fandom that I have joined on Amino that I have been loving for this whole past year is Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I started Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I think, this year or late last year. And that has just been such a great show. It's so funny, so hilarious. And I really have just enjoyed this show. And it also has great representation. It has 2 black men in positions of power and leadership. It has 2 Latino women who are also in great positions in the police force. And one even gets promoted to sergeant. And then it has so many people leading it that are great, and other stories that are so personal and touching, even though it's a funny comedy. That's its basis, and yet it touches on so many important things like police brutality, the conditions of prisons, the Me Too movement. All of that is so important. Even though I've kind of gone away from it a little bit since it's on hiatus and the new season won't start until next year, I'm so excited for it. And it's just such a great show. It makes me laugh, it makes me sad, and it's just something that I've come to really enjoy and be one of my comfort shows that I can just put on and relax with. And so Brooklyn Nine-Nine has just become such a huge influence over my past year and how I see things and how I just enjoy shows. Made me happy at the end of this decade. And the final fandom that I will talk about that I have gotten so obsessed with is Good Omens. Good Omens is a show based on a book, and that was written by Neil Gaiman and Carrie Pratchett. No practice with that, so I'm glad I got their names right. And so Good Omens is about the apocalypse and how these people want to stop it. Technically an angel and a demon, but not just them, it's all these people around it. When I first started getting into the fandom, or at least seeing clips and bits and artwork from it, I originally just thought it was about the angel and the demon, because that's what everybody talks about. But it's such a great show with the whole entire cast. The whole cast is amazing because the children are just weird and just fun to watch. The couples are very awkward and interesting, and it's just kind of funny. But Good Omens definitely has become one of my top favorite fandoms and stuff that I create for, because it definitely has made me want to create more with Amino and the poems and the edits. It's just something that I can get obsessed with over every little detail. You would think that with it only being 6 episodes and for it not planning to continue from there, that people will get bored of it. But no, it ended up being one of the most popular ones on Tumblr several months after the show ended and aired. And it's just so crazy because it's just such an intricate story, because it can be told so many times in so many different ways with fan fiction, with artwork, and it's so crazy how you can see something new in just these 6 episodes. And of course, there's a book that it's based on, like I said before, and so you get a lot more details, more attention, and you get a lot more information, especially with Neil himself, because he is so great at answering people's questions. And he is just so open and free with it, and I've never really seen an author like that. But then again, I haven't really kept up with authors and books. But this one I'm excited to read in the new year, or listen to an audiobook. Either one of those. I probably will do both. Good Omens is just such a great show. And like I said, the fandom is so bold and boisterous, and it's just so great because you find new things, new details, and it's just kind of overwhelming, but it's so fun to see the new things that people create just from these 6 episodes, just from this one story. And I'm writing fan fiction for Art Swap or Holiday Swap for Good Omens, and so I have to finish that for my giftee. And it's just such a fun fandom to be a part of. Such a great show. Like I said, it's really obsessive, and you would think you'd be done, but no, it's so fun to learn new things with this show, with this story. And there's a musical based on it, so depending on how big that gets, the fandom is only going to get even bigger. And now Good Omens is going to be on the BBC, so the fandom is going to be in full swing by the time next year. I do know that, because if one thing people I definitely love on the BBC, it's a good show. Especially one that you have a really good ship with. But yeah, I really like it, and it definitely has been one of my main influences over this whole year. And to close out this video, I would like to talk about 2 people who have been really good influences of my year. And so those 2 people are Fee, aka Psychic Moth, and Reese, aka Smartinis. I think that's how you pronounce it. When you're online, you don't know how to pronounce people's name until they tell you you're wrong. But I think that's Smartinis, like martinis but smart. I really like that username. No idea why, but I really do. And so Fee is a person that I've been starting to talk to this past year. And even though I haven't got to talk to her too much, the very little that I've gotten to talk to her and gotten to know her, I really love and enjoy. So I decided one day that I was going to just start messaging her, and so she was one person that I could just really kind of comfortably talk to, ask questions about, and get to meet her. And so she was just somebody who just made me happy. And Fee is one of those people who always texts with heart emojis, and I kind of love it. You always see those memes where you kind of just spill hearts out or throw up hearts. I kind of just feel like Fee is that person in a human form, or I guess online form. She just always puts heart emojis everywhere, and it always makes me smile. That's like her signature, I've come to say in my mind, that whenever she texts or put posts on Twitter, I just always see her with heart emojis, and it just always makes me smile. She sends it to her friends, to the fandom, and it's just always so lovely to see. And I just hope to become better friends with her in the future. And Sophie, thank you so much for being a friend that I would have needed this past year. It's just so nice talking to you, and I hope that we could become better acquainted in the upcoming year and the new decade. And so the last friend that I want to talk about is Reese. I'm not sure if I remember talking about him earlier because he is friends with Nikki, who I did mention earlier in one of these influences of my year. But Reese, I've become more acquainted with and know more now. And he's just such a wonderful person. And I just love hearing his story because he went through some changes this year that impacted his whole outlook on life and how he sees himself. And I just want to thank him for his bravery because doing that kind of motivated me and inspires me for my future because he is a little bit older. And so with that, that's saying that no matter what age you are, you can still learn about yourself. You can still change yourself at any moment to fit what you need to be, what you feel like you need to be, because your feelings are important. And so when he did that this year and I got to see that, it was such a beautiful thing. And it just still makes my heart warm because people are still learning about themselves, still discovering themselves. And I thank Reese so much for telling his story and being comfortable that he can tell people his story online. And I've just become so fascinated with him. I've messaged him and we've been able to talk. And it's just such a comfortable thing because talking can always be hard for people and kind of even hard for me, even though I do theater. And so Reese is one person that I just feel comfortable talking with, even messaging something random online, and he responds all nice and sweet. And I really cherish all those moments, all those lights, and I still see him, and it's just so fun just to be comfortable with that and be comfortable with a person like that. And so Reese, thank you so much for your influences and influencing me this year, because it does matter for people to hear your story, and it does something to people like me who are still figuring out myself, that it doesn't always come easy and it doesn't always have to come soon. But thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful year. Same to you, Fee. Both of you have meant so much to me in this past years. And please check them out. They are so great people, especially Fee's artwork. I need to buy some of that one of these days when I get money. But Fee is such a great artist. I always loved her work. I always saw it before I started following her, and she's so talented, and I really love it. And so thank you to everybody who I mentioned to. Thank you to the fandoms. Thank you to people who motivate me to keep writing better. Reese writes, and he writes so much. It's so long, but it's so good. Thank you to everybody who I mentioned. And thank you for influencing me over my decade, because all of this is important. YouTube has become a place where I've found a community, a same kindness, and different communities that I follow now weren't the ones that I followed before. And so I was a whole different person than I was just a few years ago, let alone this past decade. And I'm so glad and happy for that change, because I really could have been way worse. I could have been a lot more evil, a lot more sad, a lot more down. But because I found communities like this where I could just go to people and start messaging them and become friends with them, is something that I do not take for granted and do not take lightly. Because I did not always have that opportunity, and not everybody has that opportunity still. And so over this past decade, there are so many YouTubers who I never even mentioned in these videos, like Philip DeFranco. He does the news so well that I can actually take in and hear the news and hear what's happening. And he's so based in facts and so nonpartisan that I could relax and enjoy him while still getting the news that is very important, whether it be something out in the other countries or just something here on YouTube, because since this is my community, I want to learn more about it. And other YouTubers like Jack's Films, who's just so crazy, who's so funny, and he's just something that has always been there. He hasn't been completely the biggest, like, most inspirational thing, but he's just still very funny. He's one of the ones that I just like to watch, and I've just been so happy with. There's just so many, just too many to name. But if you've ever messaged me, ever talked with me, ever just said hi to me, just thank you, because I always love those. No matter how big, no matter how small. All those messages are important to me. And thank you for being an influence of my year and my decade. And thank you so much for watching. I hope to do bigger and better things in the future. For myself, for this YouTube channel, for my other YouTube channel, for my job. Hopefully the only place that we can go is bigger and better from here. Again, thank you so much for watching. Share, like, and subscribe. Check out my other social media. My link is always in the description. I now write, of course. Getting better with that. I have my editing channel now. Got a lot more fandoms, and I'm so excited for the future. It might seem down at times, but I still am excited. I hope you had wonderful holidays that were past. I hope you have a wonderful new year coming up. Thank you again so much, and have a happy decade. And as always, may grace be in your space.